One thing that TV seems to lack severely is diversity and representation. Lately, it just seems like an afterthought. Like, let's tack on this gay character, or let's introduce a new black girlfriend. Established series are trying to prove that they are hip to the time, that they're forward-thinking. But some seem to take a very strong stance saying, this isn't what our series is about. So, okay, your series isn't accurate to the time and place in which you have set it, or your modern family drama is ignoring the basic reality of the world it's set in. Enter One Day at a Time, one of the best family sitcoms of this century, and I'm not underselling it. The show follows a Cuban-American family, and it's not afraid to touch on those heavy-hitting issues that most shows avoid, like mental illness, or immigration, sexism, homophobia, gender identity, and racism. Yes, it's a sitcom. It's funny, and it will make you bust a gut. But it also remembers the importance of family, both blood and found. Like the everyday working single mother, or the extremely awkward, not really sure what to do with themselves teenager. I love this show more than I can express. And let's face it, that's more due to my inability to actually word, and that's on a good day. But I'm going to try. We need more shows like One Day at a Time. Representation is sorely lacking in the vast majority of media that we consume. And usually, they try to pacify that vocal minority with side characters and support. You know, those characters that serve a purpose once and then sort of just disappear. One Day at a Time tells the daily ins and outs of the Alvarez family, a Cuban family. And it does so without falling into those harmful stereotypes of poor communities or gangs and cartels. This is family dynamics. This is love. This is support. This is culture. We have 3 strong women and one very emotionally sensitive young man. And that's not including the huge ensemble cast of diversity outside the family. There's a newly single mother who happens to also be a war vet, who is working to support not only her kids, but also her mother, who lives with them to help take care of her children. We follow not only her struggle with PTSD, but also depression and anxiety. This is something that we usually don't see represented in television, especially in such a relatable way. Movies like to show us the extraordinary cases, not the everyday average person living with mental illness. And I appreciate seeing that because I see myself represented on screen. But they also didn't shy away from the severe lack of veteran rights and support for returning troops in America, and how difficult it is just to get adequate health care. Not good, just adequate. Then we have an old-school Cuban grandmother who is so warm and loving with her grandchildren who she's helping her daughter raise. But she's also an immigrant. She was one of Castro's kids. She was part of Operation Peter Pan. If you don't know what that is, let me tell you. 14,000 unaccompanied minors were sent to the States after the Cuban Revolution and Castro took control. Lydia left her entire family behind, including an older sister who wasn't old enough to qualify for the program. She came to America by herself. Can you imagine how terrifying and isolating that would be? Can you imagine trying not to lose your connection to your culture and heritage and the identity of who you are, knowing that you'll never be able to go back? Do you become a citizen or not? One of my favorite characters is definitely Elena. She's not only a strong, outspoken feminist, but also a gay woman. We have the pleasure of watching her come out, coming to terms with her sexuality, and finding acceptance with her devout Catholic grandmother, but also the absolute devastation of the rejection from her father. The LGBT rep in this show is top tier. I'm serious. Not only do we have a Latinx lesbian lead, but we also have a non-binary, reoccurring character that uses they, them pronouns, and that Elena is in a happy, healthy relationship with. The show even touches on asexuality. And trust me when I say that that topic is not one that TV and media usually covers. But Penelope is also part of a war vet support group who she makes friends with, including another lesbian woman who she can go to for advice when talking about Elena, and a trans woman. But we also have Alex, who is not falling into that trope of toxic masculinity. I love how close he is to his grandmother, and I love how emotionally invested he is in his sister and his family. And we watch him struggle with daily racism, and it's heartbreaking. He has darker skin than his sister. Elena is so-called white passing, which is something she struggles with at all because people dismiss her heritage. But Alex is told to go back where he came from. And unless you're First Nations, you can shut the fuck up. North America is the land of immigrants. Immigrants that came in and treated the original occupants like absolute crap. And guess what? We're still treating people like crap. I don't know how you forget, but we are all human. We all live and breathe and bleed the same. And that's why One Day at a Time was so important. And that's why it was so devastating when it was cancelled. Unsurprisingly, it was Netflix that cancelled it. Because that's just one of those things that Netflix does. They aren't afraid to bring the really hard-hitting, heavy stories to life. But at the same time, if it doesn't live up to their expectations of success, then it's on the chopping block. Forget that One Day at a Time is a critically acclaimed show. But here's the thing about Netflix. They base all of their decisions off the Nielsen ratings. But the Nielsen ratings only track the views through streaming on a television. Netflix is supposed to be this huge, modern, forward-thinking media company. But they are ignoring the growing change in how we consume entertainment. That means they're ignoring the views on computers, phones, media devices, and game consoles, which is a huge percentage of the market. Up until about a year ago, I didn't have a smart TV. I streamed all of my entertainment through my old Wii. So Netflix gave up on the show, and the outcry from fans and critics alike was deafening. We had no real resolution or closure, but not all hope was lost because a regular network television channel swooped in and picked it up. The same one that ran Schitt's Creek. I mean, what a twist. Network picking up streaming property? But it didn't last. And that's just one more thing that the pandemic stole from us. In the end, One Day at a Time was cut down in its prime.
No, gay! Me, gay! Oh, me gay too.